There is a folder on my desk. Manila. Standard issue. The kind they give you at every posting. Inside is a printed spreadsheet dated March 14th, 2015. Precinct-level election data from the Republic of Kantara. 847 reporting districts. I printed it at 11:47 p.m. that night and put it in my briefcase. I have moved offices 4 times since then. The folder moved with me every time. I retire in 6 weeks. The folder will stay here. I think someone should find it. I think that is why I kept it. My name does not matter. The institution I work for does not matter. What matters is what I did on March 15th, 2015 at 6:47 a.m. in a conference room at the Kantara Sheraton. What matters is that the election certification I signed that morning declared Augustin Mbeki-Fola the winner with 54.3% of the vote. What matters is that the spreadsheet in this folder shows Daniel Osei won with 51.7%. I falsified an election result. 5 other observers did the same. We signed the certification at 6:47 a.m. It was published at 9 a.m. I have sat across a table from Daniel Osei every Thursday for 4 years. We have never discussed it. Let me tell you what has happened. Not the version. What happened? On March 14th, 2015, the Republic of Kantara held a presidential election. The incumbent was President Augustin Mbeki-Fola. The challenger was Daniel Osei. I was part of a 6-member international election observation team. We had been in country for 11 days. Standard protocol. Pre-election assessment, polling station visits, count observation, certification. The polls closed at 6 p.m. The count began at 6:45 p.m. By 11:47 p.m., we had precinct-level data from 847 of 891 reporting districts. Daniel Osei was leading with 51.7% of the vote. Mbeki-Fola had 47.2%. The remaining 44 districts were rural. Historically, they split 60-40 for the incumbent. Even with that split, Osei would win. Not closely. He would win. I printed the spreadsheet at 11:47 p.m. I do not know why. We had it digitally. I printed it and put it in my briefcase. At 2:14 a.m., our team leader received a telephone call. He took it in his room. The call lasted 11 minutes. I know because I was in the hallway. I was not listening. I was waiting. You learn to wait in this work. At 6:30 a.m., he convened an emergency session. All 6 observers. Conference room on the 3rd floor. He presented revised figures. He said there had been irregularities in the data transmission. He said the corrected count showed Mbeki-Fola winning with 54.3%. He placed the certification report on the table. 4 observers signed immediately. 1 observer asked 3 questions. The team leader answered them. She signed. I did not sign. I sat there. The report was in front of me. My pen was in my hand. I sat there for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I know because there was a clock on the wall behind the team leader's head. Digital. Red numbers. I watched them change. 6:43 a.m. to 6:47 a.m. At 6:47 a.m., I signed the report. The certification was published at 9 p.m. It stated that the election had been free and fair. It stated that Augustin Mbeki-Fola had won with 54.3% of the vote. He governed for 8 years. Daniel Osei left the country 3 days after the election. He returned in 2019. He was appointed Kantara ambassador to the United Nations. I was appointed to a senior advisory role at the same institution in 2020. We were assigned to the same Security Council subcommittee in January 2021. We meet every Thursday. 3 p.m. Conference room C. We have met 193 times. We have never discussed March 15th, 2015. You want to know why I signed? Everyone wants to know why. I can tell you why. I thought about my pension. I thought about my children. I thought about 23 years of work. I thought about what happens to people who do not sign reports they are asked to sign. I thought about those things for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I did not think about Daniel Osei. That is what I cannot forgive myself for. Not the signature. I made that decision and I own it. I cannot forgive myself for the order in which I thought about things. Let me tell you what it is like to sit across a table from Daniel Osei on a Thursday afternoon. He is an exceptionally competent diplomat. Precise. Thoughtful. He chairs the subcommittee meetings when the rotating chair is absent. He does it well. There is a moment in every meeting when he makes eye contact with each person at the table. It is a chair's technique. Inclusive. Professional. When his eyes reach me, they do not change. His expression does not change. He nods slightly. I nod slightly. We continue. 193 times. You develop a sense in this work. You learn to read rooms. You learn to read silence. You learn what it means when someone does not ask a question they could ask. Daniel Osei has never asked me anything about March 15th, 2015. Not directly. Not indirectly. Not in a way that could be misunderstood or later denied. I think that is a choice. I do not know what kind of choice. There are colleagues who know what I did. There are colleagues who know what all 6 of us did. This work is small. News travels. No one has ever mentioned it to me directly. I have been invited to fewer election observations since 2015. Not 0. Fewer. I was not asked to observe the 2023 cycle. I told myself it was age. I told myself they wanted younger observers. I do not think that is why. In 2022, the subcommittee reviewed a resolution on electoral transparency. Standard language. Free and fair elections. International observation standards. Daniel Osei proposed an amendment. He suggested adding a clause about observer accountability. He said observation teams should be required to publish their raw data alongside their certification reports. The amendment was discussed for 40 minutes. It did not pass. I voted against it. Daniel Osei watched me vote. I know because I looked at him as I raised my hand. I do not know why I looked at him. His expression did not change. I went home that night and opened the folder. I do not open it often. Maybe twice a year. I opened it that night. The spreadsheet is still crisp. Manila folders are very good at preserving paper. The numbers have not changed. 847 reporting districts. 51.7%. I printed it at 11:47 p.m. on March 14th, 2015. I have kept it for 9 years. I think someone should find it. There is something I have not told you. Something about the 11-minute phone call. I was not in the room. The team leader took the call in his room, but he told me what was said. Not that morning. Later. 6 months later. We were at a conference in Geneva. Different context. Different election. We had drinks one evening. He told me. The caller said Daniel Osei had been informed of the result before certification. That Osei had been told he won. That Osei had agreed to accept the official outcome. In exchange for safety guarantees for his family. And a senior diplomatic appointment within 4 years. The team leader said Osei had consented. He said it was already arranged. He said we were not changing an outcome. We were certifying an agreement. I signed believing that. I signed believing Daniel Osei knew. I signed believing he had made his own calculation and chosen safety. I signed believing I was not taking something from him. I was witnessing something he had already given away. In January 2021, I sat across the committee table from Daniel Osei for the first time. Conference Room C, 3 p.m. The meeting began. Introductions. When they reached him, he introduced himself. Kantara Ambassador to the United Nations. Then he looked at me. We made eye contact. His expression was not the expression of a man who had made an arrangement. I have thought about that expression every Thursday for 4 years. I do not know what it means. I know what it might mean. The folder is still on my desk. Manila. Standard issue. In 6 weeks, someone else will sit in this office. They will go through the drawers. They will find it. Or they will not find it. There are 16 drawers in this office. I have not decided which one. Next Thursday is my last subcommittee meeting. 3 p.m. Conference Room C. Daniel Osei will be there. We will make eye contact. He will nod slightly. I will nod slightly. We will not discuss it. I have never asked him. In 4 years, 187 Thursdays. I have never asked. The phone call came on a Tuesday, March 2020, 11:47 a.m. I remember because I was about to leave for lunch. My assistant said there was someone from the 7th floor. She did not say who. She did not need to. The voice was not unkind. It said my name. It asked if I had a moment. It said there was a situation developing. Kantara. It said the word carefully. The way you say a word when it might break something. The situation was this. Daniel Osei had submitted a formal request. February 28th. A request for emergency session consideration. Topic: Investigation into systematic resource extraction violations in the Kantara Northeast Corridor. The request included documentation, 63 pages, satellite imaging, medical reports, testimony from 14 villagers. The voice on the phone said the request was problematic. It did not say why. It did not need to. Then it said something else. It said Daniel Osei would be withdrawing the request. It said this would happen voluntarily. It said the withdrawal would be submitted by end of week. It said there would be a replacement ambassador appointed. Someone more aligned with current governmental priorities. It said the transition would be smooth. I asked how they knew this. The voice paused. 4 seconds. Then it said, "We have assurances from the appropriate channels." I said, "From Kantara's government?" The voice said, "Yes." I said, "Not from Ambassador Osei." The voice said, "The ambassador will be cooperative. There are family considerations. His daughter is completing her degree. Munich. His wife's mother requires specialized medical care. Available in Geneva. These things can be facilitated. Or not facilitated." I did not say anything. The voice continued. It said a document would be prepared. Standard withdrawal of session request. Citing procedural reconsideration. It would require 2 signatures. The ambassadors. And a witness signature from the subcommittee chair. I said, "I am not the subcommittee chair." The voice said, "You will be. Effective Monday. Bergstrom is being reassigned. Copenhagen. A promotion. I sat with the phone against my ear. The office was very quiet. Outside my window I could see the lake. It was grey. It is always grey in March. The voice said, "We need institutional continuity on this. Someone who understands the broader picture. Someone with a long view." Someone with 6 weeks until retirement, I thought. Someone with a pension. Someone with a daughter in Brussels. Someone who knows how things work. I said, "When?" The voice said, "Thursday. A meeting has been scheduled. 3 p.m. Conference room C. Ambassador Osei will attend. He will bring the withdrawal. You will witness it. The matter will be concluded." I said, "And if he doesn't sign?" The voice did not answer directly. It said, "His daughter's visa expires in May. His wife's mother's treatment authorization is renewed quarterly. The ambassador is a reasonable man. He will sign." Then the voice said something I have replayed 700 times. It said, "You are not being asked to coerce him. You are being asked to witness a decision he has already made." The call ended at 11:51. 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I sat at my desk for 20 minutes. Then I went to lunch. I ordered the same thing I always order. I do not remember eating it. Thursday came. I arrived at conference room C at 2:55 p.m. The document was already on the table. Single page. Formal letterhead. 2 signature lines. Daniel Osei arrived at 2:58. He was alone. No attaché. No counsel. He carried a leather folder. Brown. Worn at the corners. We introduced ourselves. I said my name. I said I was the new subcommittee chair. I said it was a pleasure to meet him. He said it was good to meet me as well. His voice was steady. His hands were steady. Everything about him was steady. I gestured to the document. I said I understood he wished to withdraw his session request. I said the paperwork was straightforward. I said I would witness it and we could conclude matters quickly. He looked at the document. He did not touch it. He said, "May I ask you something?" I said yes. He said, "Have you read my request?" The original submission. I had. I had read all 63 pages. I had looked at the satellite images, grid references, before and after. I had read the medical reports, soil contamination levels, water table corruption. I had read the testimony, 14 villages, names, ages, children. I said, "I have reviewed the materials." He nodded slowly. He said, "Then you know why I submitted it." I did not answer. He said, "I have been instructed to withdraw it. By my government. I have been told this is necessary. For national stability. For ongoing negotiations. For the greater good." He paused. Then he said, "I have also been told about facilitations. For my family. Medical care. Educational continuity. I have been told these things can be arranged. Or not arranged." He looked at me. His eyes were very dark. Very clear. He said, "I want you to know something. I am not signing this because I believe the request was incorrect. I am not signing this because I was mistaken. I am signing this because I have a daughter who needs to finish her degree. Because I have a wife whose mother is dying and requires care I cannot provide without their cooperation." He said, "I am signing this because I have no choice. I want that on record. Somewhere. Even if it is only between us." I should have said something then. I should have said I understood. I should have said I was sorry. I should have said this was not right. Instead, I said, I am only here to witness. He held my gaze for 5 seconds. Then he picked up the pen. He signed his name. Daniel Osei. The script was careful. Precise. Each letter formed completely. He put down the pen. He slid the document toward me. I signed my name on the witness line. My hand did not shake. He stood. He said thank you. He said he looked forward to working with me on the subcommittee. He picked up his leather folder. He walked to the door. Then he stopped. He turned. He said, The village is in my report. They are still there. The contamination is still happening. The children are still sick. He said, Withdrawing the request does not make that untrue. Then he left. I sat in conference room C for 30 minutes. The document was still on the table. 2 signatures. Witnessed and binding. I took it to my office. I placed it in the manila folder. I put the folder in the bottom drawer of my desk. Right side. Beneath the budget reports from 2019. The next Thursday there was a subcommittee meeting. 2 p.m. Conference room C. Daniel Osei attended. We made eye contact. He nodded slightly. I nodded slightly. We discussed water rights protocols, procedural amendments, scheduling for April. We did not discuss the 14 villages. 4 years, 187 Thursdays. Daniel Osei is still the Kantara ambassador. His daughter graduated. She works in Berlin now. His wife's mother passed away. 22. The care was good. Geneva has excellent facilities. The Northeast Corridor extraction continues. The contamination levels are now available in the public record. Other organizations have filed reports. Smaller organizations, with less institutional weight. The reports are noted. Filed. No emergency sessions have been called. I witnessed a signature. That is what I tell myself. I witnessed a man signing a document he came prepared to sign, a decision he had already made. But I have thought about his eyes, every Thursday for 4 years. That moment when he looked at me and said, I want that on record. He was not making a choice. He was documenting the absence of choice. He was placing something in the room that could not be written down. A truth without paperwork. And I witnessed it. Not the signature. The other thing. The thing he needed someone to see. That is why the folder is still in my desk. Why I have not filed it. Why I have not destroyed it. It is evidence. Not of what happened. Of what should not have happened. Next Thursday is my last meeting. Someone asked if I wanted remarks prepared. A small reception afterward. I said no. I will arrive at 2:55. I will sit in my usual seat. Daniel Osei will arrive at 2:58. He will sit in his usual seat. We will discuss the agenda. We will make eye contact. We will nod slightly. We will not discuss it. The folder will remain in the drawer. Right side. Bottom. Beneath the 2019 budget reports. Or perhaps I will move it. Top drawer. Left side. Where someone might look first. I have not decided. What I am telling you now is this. There was a phone call. 4 minutes and 17 seconds. There was a meeting. Thursday. 2 p.m. Conference room C. There was a document.
2 signatures.
There was a man who needed someone to see what was happening to him. And I saw it. And I signed anyway. That is the record. That is what I am placing here.
6 weeks.
End the